Hey, this is Jim Conley with Weston Nurseries in Chelmsford. How you doing today? We get a lot of customers asking us about dwarf Japanese maple, and I want to give you a quick education about what is a Japanese maple and also what does dwarf mean. So dwarf does not mean it stays small. The original Japanese maple grew like 50 foot tall, and they found one that grew about 20 foot tall, and they call that one the dwarf. So it's all relative to its parent. If you're looking for a tree that's not going to grow tall, there are many types of trees that do that aren't called dwarf, it's just they grow slower. So for instance, I have a Japanese maple right here in a 1 gallon pot, and this plant is probably 4 to 5 years old. So when it was first started, it was only this big. And over the last 3 to 4 years, they've been pruning it to get it nice and full, and also, which reduced the size of the plant, but also it grows very slow. So most Jap maples grow in that 4 to 6 inch range. Some grow 2 to 4 inches, some grow 6 to 8, but on average 4 to 6 inches. So if you do the math, 5 inches on average, 10 years is 50 inches, that's 4 feet. That takes a long time. So when you look at this maple, which is the same thing right here, this plant is going to be this big in 10 or 12 years. So it's not something that happens overnight. So when you're planting a plant that you want that doesn't get that very large because you have a small area, a small house, Japanese maple is definitely a go-to for that. There's really 2 types of Jap maple families. There's the uprights and then there's the weeping types. So the upright ones grow 15 to 20 foot tall. Width varies from variety to variety. There's some fastigiate columnar ones, and then there's some wider ones, so 10 foot, 12 foot could be possible for some. Others might be 6 to 8, depending on the variety. And then the weeping types are like this one right here. So this is a common weeping one. This is called Crimson Queen. This is actually one that has a red leaf, and it's starting to go into that fall period where the fall foliage kind of goes from red to green to a nice orangey red in the fall. So in a couple of weeks, you'll see this plant with all that purple red foliage. So the weeping ones are typically a spreading plant. So you're gonna see width more than height. I would say 4 to 6, 6 to 8 foot high versus 6 to 8 or 8 to 10 foot wide. Another way that this is called is dissect maple because the leaves are very dissect, as you can see. So you've got weeping or dissect or dissectum is what happens with that. And now Japanese maples, the interesting thing about all of them is they're grafted. So if you look at this one here, you can see this is where the graft is. So the graft is where they take the roots of one plant and they splice it with the top of another plant to create this habit. Some grafts are at 2 foot, some grafts are at 4 foot, some grafts are low to the ground. So when you look at the graft on the weeping ones, the height of the plant will all be determined on where that graft is. If the graft is 16, 20 inches off the ground and it grows 4 foot tall, it's 4 foot from that point. Keep that in mind when you're looking for a Japanese maple with that weeping habit, that you determine where you want that graft to be so that you can have the height that you require for your landscape. The interest of the Japanese maple is not just the foliage, but it's the fall color, as well as once these leaves fall off, the very interesting bark formation between the twisting and turning of the branches, as well as all of the fall interest with the fall color really makes it a full 3 or 4 season plant. You get the new growth that comes out, the stems look very attractive during the summer, and then in the fall colors, as well as that winter interest. So it's really a great plant for the landscape. Japanese maples are one of my favorites because of that 4 season interest that I mentioned. There's so many different varieties. This one right here, what I like about this one, it's called coral bark. As the cooler weather starts to set in, these stems are going to transform from that yellow-green color to almost a corally color. And it's just starting to do that now. So here's one branch right here I just broke off, but that's okay. Needed a little bit of pruning anyhow, but you can see that coral red stem that it's starting to develop right now. So this is Jim from Weston Nurseries in Chelmsford, trying to give you a quick education about the different types of Japanese maples All of our garden centers have a very good selection of Jap maples throughout the whole entire season, and you can plant them at any time of the year, spring, summer, or fall. If you have questions about Jap maples or any other interesting plants that you'd like to have more knowledge about, you can reach out by putting it in the chat, and we'll certainly do other videos that relate to those types of things. Weston Nurseries is a proud educator in the industry, and we want to continue to help you succeed in your garden. This is Jim saying thank you, and until the next time, have a great day.